We are live. Dun, dun, dun. Good morning. Good morning. Let me just fix this. Get all set up. Here we go. Alright, so I think today's the last little sequence of the passing master plan. Or lesson plan. And it's the exciting one. It's the half guard pressure chain, I think. So let's get on with it. Change screen. So like every week, I'll recap what we did last time, and then we'll move on. So you get an insight of the whole passing sequence. So we had this little chart here, which should be in first, which was the strategy we're trying to follow when passing. So avoiding the grips, avoiding the guard. Then we had distance style passing, mid-range, and tight pressure passing. And last time we looked at this kind of mid-range style passing. And we looked at the tight pressure on Tuesday. And today we're gonna focus on this one, underhook and crossface. So if you don't remember, these are the long distance style passing, which is like the Toriadas and etc. Which was the first lesson. Had the mid-range style, which was the knee slices, the long steps, and the leg weaves. This is just a reminder not to get caught on guard, so avoid spider guard. And I would invest some time on learning spider guard counters as well. Then we had that little distance style and mid-range style leg drags. Distance because you start far away, but once you get into the leg drag, it becomes like a mid-range sort of passing because you're tight on the person. Here's our long step from the knee slice. So this is a combination. So we go knee slice into a long step. And we talked about the importance of knowing long step grips. They're very different from knee slice grips. Here's our leg weave combination. So it's gonna go knee slice doesn't work. So we take the unit to the other side. And then we have our leg weave. And then Tuesday's class was the over-unders, double-unders, and 3/4 style passing. This is our pressure chain now. So we go straight into the over-unders. And we talk about the importance of like keeping control of the posture. And we also talked about this ending here. Make sure that we don't go for the cross face. Just stay underneath the elbow. Here's the dangerous spots from those. We got the triangle, which you want to avoid at all costs. And the Kimura, don't push the knee, otherwise you get Kimura'd. Then we had that double on this pass, which if you're finding it tricky to get into the sort of mid-range style passing, and just dive in for double unders. And this is just one way of finishing it. We had Roger Gracie's approach, which is like 3/4 guard, where he just stuffs you into the butterfly, and then he starts pressuring from there. And again, there's so many different styles of passing. I'm just showing you one little sequence, but there's lots. And then last week, we also looked at forcing the half guard, which is this. and then passing from the half guard. And this is what we're going to focus on today. It's when we manage to force the half guard, and passing from there. So we're going to look at that in a little bit more detail, because I just rushed through it last time. Because it was the last lesson was mainly to focus on these sort of passing. So these ones were a bit rushed. So today we're going to look at them properly. Okay. So here's the lesson. We did this a few weeks back, but it was defending these positions. But just to recap, so we remember a little bit. Smashed half guard. Make sure that we know the difference between underhook and crossface, seating style pass, and octopus style pass. That's the main three that you've got to make sure you know, because they'll lead to different passes. So as long as you realize which one's which, should be good. So here's the pathway we're gonna follow for each one of these. So these are like sub little mind maps. So underhook and crossface, we're going for tripod pass or hook back up. Only the crossface, which usually means the person has an underhook on you. We're going seating style pass and invisible underhook. And for octopus, we're doing the slimy foot and the 3/4 pass. So as long as you have these in your mind, when you get to these three positions, you should have a pass plan in those, which is why I want you to get out of this lesson. Cool. So might not know all of these now, but hopefully by the end of it we'll know. So here we go. The first little slice we're gonna take a look at is the underhook and crossface. So from we managed to get here. Again, I didn't go into details on how to get to here, but you should be able to at some point in your jiu-jitsu careers. So we have the underhook and we have the crossface. The main issues that we're going to come across here is the guard pull and etc. And all the recoveries we'd learned from the half guard lesson. But for now, we're just focusing on the person on top. So first one is the tripod pass, okay? This is where I'm going to squeeze my knees together here, so like my opponent's leg doesn't come out. And we're going to start tripoding, putting a lot of pressure in the face. There you go. I pinch my knees and I start tripoding up. The pinch on the knee here is really important. It stops her knee from coming out into a guard pull. So if you tripod pass with this leg based out over here, you're probably going to get caught in close guard. So to avoid it, we pinch our knees, then we tripod. Whoops, sorry. So there's the pinch. Then the knee goes to the middle of the sternum. And then it's up to your partner which direction to take you, right? If she turns her body towards this side, it's probably going to turn into a knee slice. If she stays flat like this, she might be going to 3/4 mount. You as the person on top, you don't really care. So here we went to a knee slice, and then you just kind of blast through. So this is a tripod pass. Your main detail that you've got to think about when you do this is the pinching of the knees, and also your base. All right, you can't just hug the person without keeping your elbows slightly flared, otherwise you're gonna get rolled over to the side. So stay right in the middle, but always be careful with the tip over to that side. So that's our tripod pass I'm calling. Okay, and that's from the underhook and crossface. We have hook back up next, which is the more traditional one. Usually I'll attempt this if the person's legs is too tight. I'm squeezing mine. So you try to tripod, you clearly see that she's pinching too tight. So you're better off going for the hook back up. Walk to the side first, it makes the leg closer for you to put in. And the main thing here, I'm bringing that foot into the little gap of her thigh over here. So there's a little V shape there, and you're just trying to wedge your toes in the middle. and then you can kind of shake it off. And again, you can go to a knee slice or you can go to full mount. Either one's good. So this is also your lockdown counter. If someone ever puts the lockdown on you, do exactly the same move and you should be able to get out. But remember to bring their leg towards you instead of just trying to put the hook in. I think and what I mean by that is just this start here. If you try to just put the hook straight on, you're very tippable to the side, so you get rolled over. That's why I walk to the side first, so it's harder for her to tip me over to the side. Okay. There's the slice, and that's you getting out. Next up, so these are these two, okay? So tripod pass and hook back up from the underhook and crossface. Now we're going to take a look at only the crossface, okay? So we don't have the underhook in this time. So these passes are a little bit more trickier. So you either got to this position with the underhook and crossface, or your partner already had the underhook. Regardless, you're going to attempt these two passes. Now, this style of passing works better in a gi rather than no gi. It's not impossible to do in no gi, but I'd rather do something else in no gi. But here we go. You're going to sit onto your side, and your main thing that you're going to think about when you're in this sort of stance is not getting rolled over. That comes from couple things: the shoulder pressure, the leg at the back that you can't see, which is based, and kind of your elbow here framing the thigh away. So if Kirsten does try to bridge you, you can just quickly take your leg out, or you can transition to a different pass. But the main reason why we went here is because she has the underhook. If she didn't have the underhook, you'd rather do the previous chain that we just learned. So there's the knee coming out. So all I did there was use my elbow to clear my knee line. Once my knee line's cleared, I can drive to 3/4 mount. Very likely that they're going to try to push your knee, and that's your chance to get your underhook back. If they don't push your knee, you can put your knee to their sternum, and then they'll very likely push your knee from there because of the pressure. And then we're back, knee to sternum, hook back up, and clear to get out. Right, so there's a couple of steps onto this pass, but it's a really good pass as well. So elbow frame, 3/4 mount. Expect the person to stuff that knee back in. This could come even earlier than this. Okay, could be here. As soon as you get your knee out, she might be trying to push it back in. Just look for that window to get that underhook back, and then you're off to your tripod pass or your knee slice, and you're all good. Invisible underhook, which is the gi version of this. This is the reason why I think the gi version's a bit better. So you go into your sitting style pass again, because the person got underhook on you. But this time, you're able to get the gi. Right? So, I'll quickly, this in no-gi, I don't think you'll work in most cases. Okay, I think you'll be very lucky to pull this off. In a gi, it's very good. So you'll be able to do this in a gi quite easily. Right? But I'll give you the alternative to this in a second for no-gi. But remember this gi version. I don't use this in a gi. Invisible underhook. Same thing, obviously. Morning, Ginger. Can't let Steven win. So, with the gis, things are a bit more forgiving because you can pass the gi over to the other hand, and this adds like twice as more pressure on her jaw. And you can make the person so uncomfortable at this stage, right? that they often start framing you. And when they do frame, you can quickly push their elbow over to the side and you can get a nice little arm triangle. And I can't tell you how like common this is. It's like probably the most common thing that happens to me when I do this move. So again, the person has the underhook. That's why you're passing the grip. So you pass the grip over, pressure on their face. They won't like the underhook anymore because it puts even more pressure on their jaw. So they'll start framing you. When they do, push the elbow across and get yourself the arm triangle position. If they don't frame, you're just doing this pass, the one that we just did before. So imagine I've just passed the gi here and the person's not framing, so you're just gonna push and then tripod up. Alright, so that's our 2 for the crossface only. Alright, so make sure you know the difference between underhook and crossface and only crossface. And then we have the octopus style now, which is this one. And this is the one I'd rather do in no gi than this. I think this is horrible in no gi, unless you're setting up some form of submissions. While this is a bit better for no gi in terms of passing. First up is the slimy foot. I don't have a name for this, so I just call it slimy foot. So this is very similar to the sitting style passes, but instead we're taking our arm over to the other side like this. So we call it octopus style passing instead. And your first, I didn't show this very well, but your first little, when you get to this position, your first main goal is to maintain the position. So you're gonna sit here hugging the person's hip and trying to be as tight as possible until they calm down. It's a very fidgeted position for the person on the bottom, and if you don't have enough control, then you won't be able to pass. So get here and then just hug their hips really tight, stay with your head low and wait until they calm down a bit. And when they do, this is the slimy foot bit, you're gonna stick your hand through and try to grab your own toes. Just stick your hand through and grab your own toes. And then you're just gonna pull your foot out. And you'll be surprised on how easy your foot comes out. Like, if you get your hand in, slimy foot, and you grab your own toes, it will just slide out really easily. Mainly because it's no gi. In the gi works quite well as well. But you've made enough space with your arm that even if you have like the biggest foot in the world, your foot will still come out. Okay, as long as you grab your own toes there. But be careful, they can still try to bridge you, they can still try to roll you. So just be quick on your feet to bounce back. But you should be able to get your foot out. Okay, it's a very underused pass, but extremely good. So we're here. We can't, so the example I gave here at the start is we can't get that chest to chest connection because Kirsten keeps framing. So I can't get the crossface and I can't get the underhook. So I'm going to swim my arm underneath hers and then you'll be able to get into octopus. And again, your first sequence here shouldn't be trying to pass like I did. It should be controlling. So you're going to hug. Normally, you'd want to get your hands around the hips somewhere around here and keep your head really low and just hold. They'll calm down and then you try to get your arm in like this. Pull your foot out and that's our slimy foot. Now, the time you can't get your hand in will be because they're squeezing their thighs too tight. So you're here, you see me trying to get my arm in and there's no space. Mainly because the person is a bit more advanced. They know that they need to keep this knee quite high to stop you from passing. So now we go back to our elbow position. So I'm going to put my hand on the hip, and I'm going to use my elbow, and my main goal here is just gonna get my knee free to there. Now this is the most important thing about this pass, and it's the same for the sitting style pass. Once you get your knee free, don't just let go of the leg and go somewhere else, okay? Because she can still shrimp and position her knee back to the same position. So keep that under control and just focus on getting your knee to the mat. So I'm not going to let go of her thigh at any point. See? Boom. Once I get my knee on the floor, then that becomes the underhook. And it's even more important for the sitting style pass, which is this one, because you don't have the underhook on this one. So here, if I don't get, see, I should have kept this even longer until she started pushing. I kind of like lazily did it. But that hand should stay there until I get my knee all the way to the mat. Even now, I should kept it to make sure she can't stuff the knee back in. Then I can get the underhook. Because right now, right, if she was quicker than me, she could have stuffed my knee back in, and I would have been back on this position here. Okay, which is not the end of the world because I got my underhook back, but you won't get the pass. So stay with this until here, and even further, I should stay with this here. And then when I feel like she can't stuff my knee anymore, that's when I'll switch to the underhook. There. And then you're back to your sequence. More than release. And then that's the mount transition. Okay? And for the 3/4 mount, exactly the same. But you have a longer way to get around. Because this arm gets into an odd position. So you have to swing this arm back to the other side, which is a bit annoying. And sometimes the draw side to this pass is you get often pushed to the side really easily if you can't get this arm around. But if you can, it's probably one of the strongest pass. Because you end up with double underhooks, and then you can start going into your like armbar chain, sliding up. You can go to arm triangles, all sorts of submissions come from him. Double underhooks from mount is like perfect whips. So this is the strategy. Quick recap. So when I say underhook and crossface, I mean this position. You have the underhook and the crossface. Seating style, only the crossface. Octopus style, you have your arms all the way over to the side. And here are the 3 passes we're going to do. This is our chain from each one of these positions. So if we have the underhook and crossface, we're going for tripod pass and hook back up. Only crossface, seating style, invisible underhook, and octopus, slimy foot, 3/4 mount. Let's see. With the octopus, Max showed us a technique where you're doing rolling back attack. From octopus guards, you can always do rolling back attacks, but I wouldn't advise it. It's a flashy move, but you can also get your back taken. And it's not the ideal position to do rolling back attacks from octopus guard. It's good for leg locks and a bunch of other stuff, but here it's a better position for rolling back attacks. If you back step over here and do a shoulder roll into that direction. But from here, it's a 50-50 position. She can start taking my back as well. I can start taking her back. It's too much of a gamble for me, but it is possible. From 3/4 mount, which is this position here, it's probably like a 60-40 position for you. So it's a lot, I'd say it's a lot safer than the octopus back take. Cool. So here we go. What was I gonna say? Forgot. Yeah, your other way of doing rolling back attacks is from any time you pass to the side in this sort of transition here. There's lots of transitions, but if you can take your leg out like this, and then Kirsting's legs are facing that direction, that's another good time to go for a rolling back attack. But again, you've just got side control, you've just got points for this. I wouldn't gamble it on a back take unless it's like submission only or something. Because again, she can turn around and take your back if she's better than you. If you're better than the other person at taking the back, then you do it. If you're not better, or you don't have like, don't just roll for no reason, which is a lot of what a lot of people do. You just end up giving your back or in a worse position. Cool. All right. Question time. Let's see. I'm gonna hold on. Let's see if people have been listening. I'm gonna take off the titles, and let's see if people can find out which pass is which. Because if you're gonna be a good guard passer from half guard, you need to know all the names of these positions and which pass we're going for. So first question is, let's go to this one. So I have, okay, let's look at this one. So I have underhook and crossface, and Kirsting got an underhook on me. What pass should I go for in this case? Let's see if anyone gets it. I didn't drink. Have some coffee. Guys have terrible memory. Lucky I have the diagrams. Alright. Underhook and crossface. Let's go up there. So at the start of this, I had underhook and crossface. So let's go over that first. Underhook and crossface, or what should we do from here? This one should be easy. Yes, tripod. So we know that from the underhook and crossface, we have the tripod pass. Or, if that doesn't work, because they're pinching their knees together, what's the next move that we're going to try? Hook back up. Oh no. Knee slice is part of the tripod pass, Marianne. So you are technically right, but we want it to be hook back up. Hook back up is right. So we know that from the underhook and crossface, we get the tripod pass or the underhook, a hook back up, right? So now Kirsting gets an underhook on me, so I no longer have the underhook, and I have only a crossface. First, I'm gonna ask you this question: what's the main fret for Kirstine while having the underhook. What can she do to me if I stay here? Ooh. Squash her in the arm triangle. That's wrong, Ginger. That is wrong. Oh no. Ginger hasn't woken up yet. What's going on, Ginger? Butterfly hook sweep. They're both wrong, if that makes better. So the main threat of the underhook from half guard. We did this in a half guard lesson, very disappointed. Is she can take my back if I stay here. She'll get on her side and she'll start shrimping, and then she can threaten my back, go old school, all our half guard chain from there. Right? But the main threat is she can take my back. So let's see, third time lucky. So what am I supposed to do on top if someone gets an underhook on me? What style of passing should I go for? Don't see you answering either, Elise. The hook back off. Jesus. Already been through the hook back up. Ginger would try to stand up from distance pass. You guys are killing me. Alright. Let's start over, guys. The diagram will help you. Alright. We did underhook and crossface. Tripod pass, hook back up. We got that right, so we know what pass to go for this. She gets an underhook, we only have the crossface. Should be trying sitting pass or invisible underhook. These two. So, again, if I have this position, I can do the tripod pass or the hook back up. She gets the underhook on me. I can't stay here anymore. I have to go to sitting style pass, which is this. Use my elbow to frame and then get my underhook back. And then I can go back to my tripod pass, crossface, and etc. And the second answer I would have accepted was the invisible underhook, which is this one, which is the gi variation. She gets the underhook on me, pass the gi, show the pressure, and then pass. And then you can do that. So this chain is probably the... If you get to this sort of position at a very high level, as in like, not even my black belt level, as in like world champion high level, right? So whenever they get into this stance, especially like middle heavy plus, even the lightweights, if they get to this sort of position with an underhook and crossface, it's almost certain gonna be a pass or submission at some point, because they just follow this sort of chain, or even they got their own chain obviously, but they just follow a sequence of moves that they've done over and over again, and that's what makes this tight position so strong. So this is why I'm being like strict on you guys. But if you don't know these sequences, when you get to this sort of tight positions, you're just gonna get people pulling guard on you, getting butterfly hooks and etc., and sweeping you. And at a beginner level, you're probably gonna get like frustrated at getting rolled over or frustrated at getting swept from these positions, and you're not gonna like them. You're gonna be scared of being here like I was when I first started, right? if I got into these tight positions, I'd get rolled over all the time. I hated it, so I would just stand all the time. So just make sure you know these chains really well, and you know which move to go for when you get these things. And then once you get into like you get really confident with them, you're gonna see that during a scramble, you end up here, it's like a win for you. Like, even though you haven't passed the person's guard, you're just happy that you got into a nice underhook and crossface. And that's why this is usually an advantage for just being here, because you're in a way better position than the person at the bottom. And as long as you know your chain, you'll be like unstoppable in this position. So if you see any like high level like black belt, when they get into this crossface and underhook, usually if Ross gets me on this, he's probably gonna get a guard pass at some point. It's like I have to use everything to get out of this position to not let him settle in. So as the person defending, I have to know all my little moves to distract him so I can replace guard. If I just stay there and trill, you're probably going to get squashed and eventually passed. And the person on top requires 0 energy. You're just resting there, putting pressure, and then just passing. Cool? Right. You've started passing. Person's framing on you. You can't get the underhook. You can't get the crossface. What should I do in this case? Can't you see, Igor? We need to go back to the gym. I did make everyone in Shepherd's Bush do this like for an hour because they kept getting it wrong. Octopus, yes. Nice, lovely. So octopus, if you can't beat the person's frame, go to octopus guard. Because then their frames are useless. And there you go, that's where the names come in. You never forget slimy foot. You can forget everything else, but you don't forget the slimy foot. Hand goes in, grab your toes, take your foot out. Beautiful. And if that doesn't work, use your elbow to frame, underhook and crossface, and then pressure. And now, so that's the passing lesson, right? Let's get my titles back. What I'll suggest you, right, Steven? For your first weeks when you come back, this is like, you're probably, if you find yourself getting into this underhook and crossface, if you want to master this like sequence, which at some point you'll be very useful to you. It might not be right now, or especially like example Marianne, right? She's an open guard player. She passes standing most of the time. This might not be useful to her right now, but at some point she will find herself in these tight positions. And if she just has just this chain like down to like perfection, she's gonna pass a lot of guards and she's gonna get really comfortable. But it's just knowing this isn't enough. Like, I can teach you all of this and you can remember all of this, but it's not gonna necessarily give you the pass. But if we go to a half guard lesson plan, and this is our recovery lesson plan, right? The thing that takes you to the next level is this, right? These are the counters as the person on the bottom. Elbow escape. We have our twist sweep. Just this. Can't get the elbow escape, so we go to our twist sweep. We have our Superman. What's gonna make you better and really good is knowing these as your escape windows. But you also realize what the person on top is doing wrong. For example, let's take the first example here. The guard pull. And this is how you should, this is how you should think about any technique that you're learning as well, right? Or if you're improving on a certain technique. So I want to get better at underhook and crossface passing, right? So here, Kirsten has the underhook and crossface. What she's doing right now, this leg isn't controlling my hip and it's not pinching. So I can get my elbow in, I can frame, and I can elbow escape. So I can do this, you can do this move 100 times, right? But if you don't know the reason why it's working, you're probably going to use it at the wrong time, if that makes sense. How many times have you been taught this, right? A simple elbow escape, where you just do a normal elbow escape. And then you get this on someone all the time. And it works every single time. And then you roll with someone else. And you're trying this move and it's not working. And there should be a, when you understand the position a bit better, right? If you knew that the person's stance was in the right place, you wouldn't even bother with this technique. You'd already be going to a different technique, if that makes sense. So if Kirsten was following this plan over here, where we go tripod pass, right? So your first little thing is the knee is already pinching here and it's controlling. So you wouldn't even waste your time trying to shrimp and pull your elbow here to try to do your elbow escape, because it's not the right technique at that certain time. And that's what makes your jiu-jitsu a lot better. If that's how that's how black belts think, I'd say, instead of like a kind of a white belt, blue belt mentality. And it takes a long time to develop, but it's just how we see jiu-jitsu instead of just trying out a move. So knowing all of these and why they work is a lot more important. And once you know all of these, you would just be able to blast through people's guard through here by using these techniques, because you know how to use them and you know what can go wrong with them, and you can adapt to those as well. And that's like the biggest lesson to come from these types of positions. And the reason why it's easier to do it in these positions is because you have more time. Like, it's a lot harder for me to tell you these stuff in open guard passing, because everything happens in like 2 to 3 seconds. You don't have time to react. While in these positions, you have like max 3 seconds to think of a move. So it's a lot more unforgiving in terms of like memory. You can remember this a lot easier during your roll than a high speed pass. So this is, I'd say it's one of the best positions to become a black belt at if you're a blue belt. Like, your guard passing might not be beautiful from standing, or might not be like at a black belt level, but this, you can turn this into a black belt level in a matter of weeks if you just remember. And the hard part is just going to be getting into these positions. Cool. But that's today's lesson. I rambled a lot, but I hope that goes into your head when you come back, or when you get into this underhook and crossface scenario. And yeah, like I said, you need to combine this with that lesson, otherwise there'll be holes in your game. Focus on being black belt at a certain position first, and then you'll just see your game improving a lot more. Like, you might not be a black belt at everything, but if you're a black belt at one thing, that's what will be unique about your game. Cool. Alright. If anyone wants to join the Discord group, join in now, so we can chat I don't have any fights to break down today. Because I'm trying to fight YouTube to get my videos back. They've been really annoying. They've banned like 2 of my videos already. So I'm just gonna not use any videos for this week, but I'll try to find some videos for next week that are safe. Coolio. Kiwi, you got any insight?
Not today.
Not today. What's Kiwi updates? See what's going on Reddit. Let's look at the Strava. See the leaderboards. Any chance the gyms will open before October? I hope so, but it doesn't look very good for gym owners right now. I don't even understand the petitions that are happening to open the gyms. It doesn't make sense. Oh, let me see if I can help. I think I can invite you somehow. Oh, you're in already.
I'm in, but can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hello, Ginger.
Hi.
Yeah.
Yay.
Hello, Ginger.
Hello. Hi.
There's 2 of me now. How do I stop it?
Oh, there's a delay. Wait, because I have to stop this.
Ginger, you're slacking. Michael's first. What's going on? The bike, isn't it? We got Michael at first, Neil second, Sean
Which
third.
one is Caesar's class?
Huh?
The dummy class.
See you later, Steven. Take care. Is Caesar's class next? I didn't check this week's timetable. There's like new classes, isn't there?
Why aren't you running anymore, Igor?
I can't. But I've been doing other stuff.
Oh.
I was only running because Chubby was here. Because I had to take her to the park. So that's what motivated me. And now it's difficult. See what's on Reddit, Ginger.
It's such nice weather, though.
See what's on Reddit. What was I gonna say? You said you have a bike now, don't you?
Yeah. Sure do.
Is that why your Strava's been down?
I know. Yeah, I need to actually go for a run. I'm gonna go for a run today and catch up because I'm a little bit behind.
3 hours later, she'll be first.
I need to win. I need to win this week because last week I got distracted with my bike.
Carol Baskin. Perfect. Have you been training? Did you send Kirstine the photo of the RGA people training at the park? What? You found people in the park from RGA training.
Yeah, like they were both white belts, but there was like a big group sitting nearby that wasn't in gis, like watching them, and I feel like they were all from RGA.
They're probably like roommates or something.